I will be demonstrating the interoperability between Lync 2013 and 3Com's legacy IP telephony solutions, the VCX and NBX. There are still quite some VCX and NBX installations around, and this demonstration will show you how to establish connectivity between all the solutions. The main challenge for establishing connectivity is that Microsoft Lync solutions operate SIP over TCP, and both the NBX and VCX solutions typically operate SIP over UDP. Having said this, the latest version of VCX code, which is release 9.8, does support SIP over TCP, so it is possible to have a direct connection between a VCX running version 9.8 and Lync. There is already a technical document that describes this configuration, so we will not go into this during this demonstration. As said, there are still a lot of customers that are running NBX and VCX solutions, so this demonstration will be based on the following requirements for NBX and VCX systems. The NBX system has to run on version 6.5 in SIP mode, and the VCX system has to run on at least version 7.1.16. On this slide you can see how the connectivity is established. We will be running a multi-services router, or MSR, that will function as gateway between the systems. This MSR will be running software version 2317 or later. In the default setup, all systems are operational and telephony within the systems is possible. In this demonstration I will be using the following extension ranges. Extension 1000 to 1999 for the VCX, extension 2000 to 2999 for the Lync solution, and extension 3000 to 3999 for the NBX. I will show you the configurations of Lync, VCX, NBX and MSR, and will explain how this all works together. Okay, so let's get going. So we'll take the Lync configuration first. The configuration for Lync consists of two steps. First step is to create a gateway that points to the MSR, and the second step is to create a voice route that points to the VCX and NBX systems. So let's create a PSTN gateway first. It's pretty straightforward. In this scenario, I'm not using any DNS, so I'll be using the native IP address. But if you have a DNS server running, you can have the FQDN in here if you like. So we'll be using IPv4. For the transport type, I will be using TCP, and I will be listening on port 5060. So once I've created that, you can also see that there's a trunk configuration here. I have to assign the gateway to the mediation pool. I'm just checking here, and it's it's already there. It's already associated. So then the next step is to publish the topology into the system. So you can see that the topology is published to the system. So, and the next step is to create the voice routing part. In going into the control panel for Lync Server 2013, going to voice routing and selecting the route contexts, create a new route. For example, Lync to VCX, give it a name. Remember that the extensions of the VCX start with 1. I'm just adding. And I will be associating this route to the MSR. And I will be associating this to the internal and local PSTN usage. So that's the VCX, and obviously I also have to create a link to NBX voice route. The NBX extension starts with extension number 3, and I will be assigning to the same gateway and the same PSTN usages. So both routes are added, and I have to commit those routes into the system. So that's that for the Lync server part. The next step is to go through the NBX configuration. So I'll be logging in as administrator. So for the NBX, I've already configured the SIP configuration. So what I'll be doing is I'll be showing you what I've done in order to get this all working. So the first step is to create a trusted SIP interface, which is basically your connectivity to the MSR. So I've created one here, which is extension 6500. You have to set the interface type to third-party gateway, provide the IP address of the MSR in this situation, and the UDP port, which is 5060. So the next step is to go into the dial plan. So for the NBX, the first thing you have to do is you have to create an extension list, and that extension list will be used for the dial plan. So what I've did is I've created an extension list here, which is asterisk 0020. Just go in there. I've created that one, and I've added the extension 6500 to this extension list. So what you can do with an extension list is you can add additional extensions if you like. So for example, on the NBX, if you would have an initial, like a primary connectivity to your MSR, if that connectivity would fail, you can add additional extensions here, so you can have failover. So in this situation, I'm not doing it, so I'll just keep the MSR as the only extension that exists in this extension list. So extension list created, and then the next step is I have to make changes to the dial plan. So the dial plan in the NBX is your routing part. So I've already made the changes, so I'll just show you what I did. So let's go here. So let's go a little bit up. So for the NBX dial plan, you basically have to do three things. So you have to create an entry, a destination route entry. So this is a placeholder. So destination would create 6. That's your MSR's SIP entry. And if we scroll down a little bit further, you can see here your destination route entry 6. I am assigning an extension list to that destination route, which is the asterisk 20 here. So that's your destination. So if I go up a little bit, I have a table 1. Table 1 on the NBX, table 1 is used for outbound calls. So for calls going to the VCX and calls going to Lync, I have to create an entry. And these are the entries that I've created here. So you can see table entry create 1, which is table 1, entry sequence 51. I'm looking at extension 1. My digit length is 44, so I'm dialing 4 digits. So the internal is the class of service, and I am routing to destination route number 6, which we just saw in the dial plan. And then obviously I have to do the same thing for extension 2, which is the Lync extensions. Here's your extension length, so 4 digits, which means that if I dial 4 digits on the NBX phone, it just dials straight out. And that's basically it for the NBX. So next I will be showing how to configure the VCX for call routing to the Lync system and the NBX through the MSR. So let's log into the VCX. Just selecting the VCX, in this case it's the VCX Connect, and I have to go to the call routing part here. So the first step is to create a trusted endpoint, which is basically trusting the MSR to establish SIP connections. So I have to enter the IP address of the MSR here and save it. And the next step is to create an endpoint, because if you set up a call routing, you have to be able to send it to an endpoint. So I've already configured this. I'll just show you how it is configured. It's set up as gateway active. I give it a name, and you can see here the IP address is the IP address of the MSR. I'm using port 5060, and the transport protocol is UDP. So, and then finally, I have to establish the call routing. So for that, I'll take the easy step. So what I'll do is I add a route plan name, and I'll call it link to link, for example. Dial number to be routed. That's the 2. I'm using the asterisk here to define wildcard, adding it. So I'm selecting it now and go to next, and then I have to select the endpoint. You can see it's already selected here, which is great. And that's it for the link connection. And then obviously we have to do the same thing for the NBX. Works in a similar way. Adding link to NBX, and then the dial number to be routed, 3 asterisks. Go to next, and selecting the MSR here. Next again, apply. And that concludes the configuration of the VCX. So the final step is to look at the MSR. So I've logged into the MSR. What I'll show you is I've already configured the MSR, so I'll show you the configuration and explain to you what has been configured. So let's go into the voice setup and do display this. One important command that we need here is SIP trunk enable. You have to enable SIP trunking in order to get the call routing working between the systems. So that's an important command. And the other configuration that you need is just basically you have to create your entities in the dial program. So you have to go to dial program and then create your entities. So I've created them, and I'll just display this again, and you can see the entities here. So 3 entities, 1000, 2000 and 3000. They resemble so 1000 resembles the VCX, 2000 resembles the Lync solution, and 3000 resembles the NBX. So let's take the VCX first. So in the entity you can see here the IP address. So that entity is pointing to 190, which is the IP address of the VCX. I'm using UDP as transport protocol, and I have enabled some supplementary services. So if I want to do things like call forwarding and call transfer between the systems, I have to enable those supplementary services, otherwise it won't work. And then finally I have a match template here, which is 1 dot. 1 dot is the extension range of the VCX, and dot resembles a wildcard. So that match template is used by the MSR for call routing. So for example, if we take the next entity, which is entity 2000 for Lync, if I just want to route, or if I get a call from a VCX phone, and I'm calling a Lync phone, the MSR will know, because of this match template here for the Lync system, will know that it has to route the call to the Lync system. So the match templates are used for call routing. So for the Lync solution, you can see here the IP address, which is the Lync server. I'm using TCP/IP as transport protocol, which is different, and I'm setting this configuration command here, codec transparent. You have to enable this, otherwise it won't work. It basically means that you have so the codec that you're offering from the VCX or the NBX system has to be used um, by the Lync system. Again, for Lync, you enable the supplementary services, and you've got this match template here, as explained. And then finally, here's the entity for the NBX. So that's your NBX IP address using port 5060. Actually, if you're using UDP as transport protocol, you don't really have to define the transport protocol, because UDP is the default protocol that's been used by the entity for communication. And again, you get your supplementary services here, and your match template is 3. And that basically concludes the configuration of the MSR and the configuration of the system. So next I will be showing you some dial scenarios. They will include dial-up between systems, consulted call transfer, direct call transfer, and ad hoc conferencing. So in this demonstration I will be showing you the call setup between the systems. So I'll be starting with the VCX. So from a VCX extension 1002, I will be dialing a Lync extension. So as you can see in the caller line identification, it's the VCX extension that's been calling. So that's your VCX to Lync. And now the other way around, I'll just, from a Lync extension, I'll dial a VCX extension. And then also in the CLI you can see, well in this case it's Joan Jett, which is a Lync extension. So next step is from a VCX to an NBX. So I'll dial extension 3000. And again, you can see the CLI identification being Ron Bateman, extension 1003 from the VCX. So from the NBX, I now dial back to the VCX system, extension 1002. As you can see, NBX phone 1 is calling, and the call is established. And then finally, establishing a call between the Lync solution and the NBX. So from extension 2000, I will be dialing extension 3000. And you can see Joan Jett is calling from extension 2000. So returning the call, dial from the NBX to the Lync system. Just dial a different extension 2001. And in the identification you can see that NBX phone 1 is calling. So the next demo is a consulted call transfer between VCX, Lync and NBX. So I'll start with the VCX phone, dialing a Lync extension. So I'll be answering the VCX call. You can see extension 1002. And what I'll do is I want to do a consulted call transfer. So menu, I'll select the consult, then transfer to option, and transferring the call to an NBX extension. So I'll be dialing extension 3000, consult. And then my NBX phone is ringing. You can see that the Lync extension is calling. I'll pick up the phone and I'll just go back to the Lync phone and press the transfer button. And then the call is transferred to the NBX phone. So there is a phone conversation between the VCX phone and the NBX phone. This demo will show a direct call transfer, so without consultation. So from the VCX, I'm just dialing a Lync extension again. And I'll be answering the call. As you can see, the phone is in locked mode, so I have to unlock to enable the call transfer feature, which I'll do right now. Okay, so press menu and then I select the transfer directly to option, and I'm just transferring back to another VCX extension. Obviously this can also be an NBX extension or another, any other extension that's reachable. So I'm just dialing the other VCX extension here. As you can see, 2001 is calling, and the call transfer is established. I'm just checking the Lync phone again. As you can see, there's no connection there anymore. In the final demo, I'll be showing you how to establish a conference call between the three different systems. So for this, I'll be starting with the Lync phone. So the Lync phone will be your initiator, and I will be dialing a VCX extension. So this will be a one-to-one call, and connect it now. And then from the Lync phone, I want to add other people into the conference. So I'll go to menu, select add others, and in this example, I will be dialing another Lync extension 2001. So I'll be adding a Lync phone. As you can see in the display, I have 3 participants now. If I pick up this phone, it's connecting to the conference, and you can see that there are 3 participants in the conference call. Now I'm just adding a NBX phone, extension 3000. And then extension 3000 will be added to the conference call as well. This concludes the technical presentation and demonstration of the interoperability between NBX, VCX and Lync. I hope that you'll find this information useful, and I want to thank you for your interest.